Have you ever noticed that the people who always say, "I'm okay," are often the ones carrying the heaviest weight? Maybe you're one of them. When someone asks how you're doing, you smile, you nod, you say you're fine even when you're not. You don't want to worry anyone, you don't want to become another problem in someone else's life. So you keep walking, you keep working, you keep helping, you keep carrying, and after a while, something strange begins to happen. The weight you're carrying becomes so familiar that you stop noticing how heavy it really is. Until one day, you wake up exhausted, not because life suddenly became harder, but because you've been carrying something that was never meant to stay on your shoulders. Maybe you've felt this. You walk into a room full of people, yet somehow you still feel alone. Not because nobody loves you, not because nobody cares, but because nobody really knows what's happening inside you. They know the version of you that always has the answer. The version that never complains. The version that keeps everyone else together. But they don't know the nights when your thoughts refuse to become quiet. They don't know how often you tell yourself, just keep going. Don't let anyone see. Be strong. And perhaps the hardest part is that you no longer know where the mask ends and where the real you begins. Here is the dangerous part. Most people think this story is about hiding emotions. It isn't. The problem is much deeper than that, because nobody wakes up one morning and decides, "I want to hide my pain forever." Something teaches us to do it. Sometimes it begins in childhood. You fall. Someone says, "Don't cry." You struggle. Someone says, "Be strong." You feel overwhelmed. Someone reminds you, other people have it worse. Little by little, you stop sharing what hurts. Not because the pain disappears, but because you become convinced that pain should remain invisible. Years pass. You become dependable, responsible, reliable. People admire you. They trust you. They come to you when their lives begin falling apart. And you gladly help them, because helping feels easier than admitting you need help yourself. You become the person everyone leans on. But when the room becomes quiet, who do you lean on? Maybe nobody. Because somewhere along the way, you quietly accepted a belief that felt noble. If I can carry everything by myself, then I must be strong. At first, that belief feels empowering. It gives you purpose. It gives you identity. It even earns the respect of other people. But what if the very thing you've been calling strength is slowly becoming the reason you're breaking inside? Stay with me, because the answer isn't what most people think. Sit with that question for a moment. Not because it's dramatic, but because your answer might explain years of silent exhaustion. Who taught you that carrying everything alone is strength? Was it a parent who believed emotions should stay hidden? Was it a culture that admired people who never complained? Was it disappointment, betrayal, or was it something even quieter? The moment you decided, "I'll never let anyone see me this vulnerable again." Whatever the reason, one decision slowly became your identity. I'll handle it. I'll survive. I'll carry it. At first, that decision protected you. It helped you keep moving. It gave you stability when life felt uncertain. But what protects you for one season can imprison you in the next. The armor that once kept you safe eventually became too heavy to wear. And this is the discovery that changes everything. The problem was never that you were strong. The problem was the definition of strength you started believing. You were taught that strength means carrying more. Life teaches something different, and Allah teaches something different. Real strength is knowing where your burden belongs. That sounds simple, but it changes everything. Because if every burden belongs on your shoulders, you will eventually collapse. Not because you're weak, because you were never created to carry the weight of the world. This is something we often forget. We admire people who never seem to break, but Allah never asked His servants to become emotionless. He never asked them to pretend pain doesn't exist. He asked them to turn toward Him with it. There is an enormous difference. One isolates you. The other brings you closer. Think about one of the most heartbreaking stories in the Quran. A father who lost the son he loved more than words could describe. Years passed. The pain never truly disappeared. Every morning reminded him, every evening reminded him. The empty space remained. This was Prophet Yaqub, peace be upon him. If anyone had a reason to hide his sorrow, surely it was a prophet. If anyone could have pretended everything was fine, surely it was him, but he didn't. He did something that quietly destroys one of the greatest lies many of us still believe. When those around him questioned his grief, he did not deny it. He did not hide it. He did not pretend it wasn't there. Instead, Allah tells us that Yaqub said, "I only complain of my suffering and my grief to Allah." He did not complain about Allah. He complained to Allah. That difference changes everything. His tears were not a sign of weak faith. They were evidence of deep trust. He knew exactly where his burden belonged, not on the approval of people, not inside a mask, not buried beneath years of silence. He carried his sorrow to the one whose mercy never becomes exhausted. Maybe today, nothing around you will change. Your responsibilities may still be waiting. Your struggles may still exist. Your pain may still be real. But perhaps, today is the day you stop believing that carrying everything alone is strength. Real strength begins the moment you stop pretending and start turning your heart toward Allah. Because your story is not over, and you were never meant to carry it alone. Maybe today, nothing around you will change. Tomorrow will still bring responsibilities. Some questions may remain unanswered. Some prayers may still require patience. But perhaps today is the day you stop believing that you were created to carry everything alone. Perhaps today, you simply begin carrying your heart to the one who has always been waiting to hear it. And if your heart is still searching, don't stop here, because every wound teaches a different lesson. Every chapter reveals a different mercy. Maybe your next step is discovering why loneliness can still exist, even when you are surrounded by people. If these stories help your heart move one step closer to Allah, you're always welcome to continue this journey with us. Until the next chapter, keep walking. Your story is not over yet.